Hi everyone and welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so very happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about my yarny adventures. Today I am wearing a finished object. It is actually something I finished quite a while back, but I don't think I ever showed it on the podcast. I think it has been sitting in my suitcase for a couple of weeks, and so I decided to wear it today. So, did you hear my little watchdog? She does not care for deliveries, probably because these are people that come to the house and we never let them in. She does her best to chase them away for sure. But since I am standing up, I thought I'd show you the 1, 2, 3 Eco. Actually, it doesn't show very well when I'm standing. I did make modifications to the body. I just knit a plain body just with a few decreases along the sides. In the original pattern, there's some folds like the folds you have at the neckline. You also have some of those at the waist and at the bottom of the t-shirt, but seriously, I have enough folds in my waist. I don't have to add them in my knitting. So I just knit a plain body. I like the neckline. It doesn't look exactly like in the photos of the model, but I like how it looks. I did go ahead and tag it down on both shoulders because before I did that, it just seemed like a very wide boat neck that would fall off my shoulder and honestly look a bit sloppy. But after I folded it and tacked it down, I like the look of this neckline. I like the top. I do wear it a lot. I do, however, tend to fiddle with it. It slides off my shoulders, so I keep pulling it up, which I don't like to fiddle with my clothes, but I am happy with the t-shirt. I think it's a beautiful pattern. It does require attention. You have to be looking in your pattern at most times while knitting this tee, but I think the finished product is beautiful. There's nothing difficult about it. It's not like it's a difficult technique or anything. You just have to pay attention throughout. One thing I didn't pay attention to was what size I was knitting. I think I shared this on the podcast that I finished the body and I finished one sleeve. And then the weeks after, when I came back to finish the second sleeve and start wearing the top, I couldn't remember what size I was knitting. And I was like, no! Because of the construction of this tee, it's not like you can just count your stitches and figure out what size you're on. You pick up stitches for the sleeves. They're not left on your needles. You pick them up. And then you work a lot of short rows to get this really nice fit. But the short rows made it difficult for me to count the stitches that I had on the other sleeve. So I guessed my way through it, and I clearly made a mistake in guessing. It's not really visible when I'm wearing it, but this sleeve starts out with a lot more stitches than this one. But as soon as I noticed, I just decreased the extra stitches out, and it's all good. I mean, you have to get really close to me. You have to basically stick your nose in my armpit to see that something went wrong. And honestly, no one should be doing that. No. So yeah, I am happy with my Eco 1, 2, 3 by Ankerstrik. I am gonna link the pattern in the description box below. I was also second guessing myself on the yarn choice. I got this Katja concept yarn in Mallorca. I was running out of projects, which was really scary. I had nothing to knit on. It's the Katja Concept Silky Lace. Excuse me. It is a single spun superwash merino, so it is so soft. There are no words for how soft this is. But of course, it's also gonna pill like a beast. And it did start pilling as I was knitting. And I was like, no, is this even gonna work? Why am I making a garment in a single spun? But I've done that before. So what I did was I turned the whole thing inside out so that I was knitting it from the inside. It's not like I purled my way through the entire top. I was just knitting from the inside, so to speak. And I put the yarn in a yarn cozy to protect it. And that helped a lot. I will say, wearing it, I don't see a lot of pills. I have been wearing it quite a lot. And there's no pilling, a little bit of pilling, but nothing bad. When the pilling comes, I'm just gonna comb it over. I have one of those wool combs. It takes 2 minutes and it's all good. That's how it is when you're working with the soft yarns. They're very often gonna pill. So that's the price you pay to have something soft and lovely and wonderful on your body. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a costume change because I have one more finished object that I want to show you. Hang on. I've also finished my Christmas Day cast on, my CDCO 23. I finished it and I am so happy with it. Do you see a theme? I like these light woolen sweaters or t-shirts for spring and summer. I think they're so pretty. I think they're genius for layering. And I also think that it can get quite hot before it's too much. I would say something like this, if it's too hot for me to wear this, it's also going to be too hot for me to wear a cotton tee or top. This is very, very light, very, very comfortable. And yes, I love my Christmas Day cast on. This is the third version that I have knit myself. 2 of them are short sleeved, and I'm just gonna move a little bit away from the camera so you can see it better. It is a sweater with a compound raglan, which means that you start by only working increases on the body and then you go into a regular raglan. And at the beginning, I think in some of the sizes, you only work increases on the sleeves. But the fact that basically you work a saddle shoulder just in an easier way, you work it in the round, it just gives a really nice fit. Also the fact that the sleeves are knit in ribbing adds to the nice fit of this tee. I again went with the high neck, the mock turtleneck. I might fold it in on itself, depending on what I'm wearing it with or if I get too hot. But on a day like today, I really love the mock turtleneck. In the original tee or sweater as it is, you work a half twisted rib, you twist all the knit stitches. But I chose not to do that on this version just because I wanted to see how would the fit be if you didn't twist the knit stitches, because a twisted ribbing is always going to be less stretchy or actually less bouncy, less willing to pull back than a regular ribbing. So I wanted to see if it would get too tight or what would happen if I just did regular ribbing. And I love it. I knit this a size smaller than I usually pick for myself. So this has almost no ease, and I even worked some decreases going down the body. But yeah, I really like the more slim fit version. Come fall, I am probably gonna pick out the bind offs here on the sleeves and knit them full length. I still have plenty of yarn left, so I can easily do that. But for now, I prefer the short sleeved version. This yarn is special. It was gifted to me by Ito so that I could try some of their yarns, and that's quite the present. If I could only knit with one yarn for the rest of my life, this would definitely be a strong contender, because it does have all of the things that I'm looking for in a yarn. It is very, very soft. It is next to skin soft. I'm not wearing anything under it, and it is just absolutely wonderful. I would wear this just like I would wear a store-bought cotton t-shirt. It is so soft. Still, it does have just a little bit of toothiness to it, which means that the fabric carries itself beautifully. You can see there's not a ton of drape in this, even though it is knit on quite large needles. This is a very open gauge, but there's not a lot of drape. It carries itself in a very, very beautiful way. That's what I love about the rustic yarns, is their ability to carry themselves. And I love that they have memory. They want to go back to what they originally was, where if you're working with a superwash and you stretch the ribbing, well, then it's basically gonna stretch. But this one, this is always, I haven't worn it a ton, but I've worn it a couple of times the past week. And it may stretch when wearing it. If I tuck it into my pants, when I then pull it out, it will go back to its original shape. And I think that is because it is a non-superwash yarn. It is the Ito Shimo, which is this one. It's a 80% wool and 20% silk. And I think it doesn't feel like your regular silk yarns, which are gonna be smooth. They're gonna be smooth and drapey and wonderful for like tops where you want this heavy drape, or for a shawl where it's essential to have it. It feels more like raw silk, like the raw silken dresses that we would wear in the 80s and early 90s. It is very, very special because it does combine the two things that I love, the softness and then the toothiness that helps the fabric carry itself. It's also one of those yarns that make you look like a better knitter than you actually are, again, because the yarn is going to stick to itself. It's going to even itself out. Of course, it's still going to need a blocking, but compared to working in a plant-based fiber, this just makes you look like a really good knitter, that's always nice, isn't it? It is spun up on a mule spinner, they call it. It's a woolen spun yarn, which means that a lot of air is trapped in the yarn. So it's very, very lightweight. On this cone, we have 50 grams. I used 2.5 cones for this. So this is not even 150 grams. So it is very, very light. It is really lightweight, which is also why I think I will be able to use it throughout summer, except some of those really, really hot days that almost seem to come at some point. But yeah, I am so happy with this. Last week, I remember I was like, now I'm just gonna sit down and finish it because I want to wear it. I'm so happy I did. It went by really quickly, even though you are obviously on a relatively fine needle. I think it's worked on a 3.75, which is a US 5. So it's not a thin needle, especially not when you're working with a light fingering like this one. But because the yarn just blooms so much, I would say this is the perfect needle for this yarn. So yeah, I am very happy. I'm kind of proud. I really like how the pattern and the yarn was just the perfect combination. So that was it for my finished objects. The other things that I have been knitting on this week are both new cast-ons, brand new cast-ons. My poor perfect little cardigan in the beautiful green color hasn't gotten any love at all. It will get some love very, very soon. But I have two new cast-ons that I had to cast them on. The first one is a very practical thing. It's a sock. I am going back to Italy on Sunday. I wanted something small, portable, easy to work on the plane, because Misa and I are going alone. Peter is meeting us at the airport. He's in Dubai, so we're all gonna meet up at the airport. But flying with my little pup, I don't wanna be messing with something big or something complicated. I just want something plain and simple and very, very small, because I'm gonna have my hands full anyway. So I decided to cast on a sock and put it in this beautiful bag from the Playful Knitter. She sells her bags on Instagram. I love the peekaboo bags. When you have a lot of projects going, the peekaboo bags are a winner. I did go ahead and work the ribbing of this sock. And that was because I thought I would be using my 9-inch circulars to knit it. They are actually in the bag. These ones, I like these ones, and I don't even remember who makes these. Are they perhaps Gu? The cable could feel like Gu. What I like is that one needle is longer than the other, which means that at least one hand can relax a little. Usually I will have the longer needle in my left hand, because that's where I support my hand is here. And then it's easier for me to just use my fingers to create the stitches with the right hand. But you know what? I worked the ribbing a magic loop, and then I transferred it to the small circulars, and I just did a couple of rounds of stockinette, and it was driving me up the walls. So I put it back on magic loop, and I just hope that airline security is not going to take it away from me. If they do, I have my 9-inch circulars in the bag, and then I can just put it back on that one. But I really hope that they will see that this is not an assault weapon, it's knitting needles. So usually I don't fly with metal needles. Usually I will always fly with either bamboo or wooden needles, just because they do attract less attention. But yeah, this time I'm gonna go ahead and do it, because wooden needles this size, I'm gonna break those before you can even say ready for takeoff. So I'm gonna try. If they take them away, I'm gonna cry a little bit, and then I'm gonna transfer it over to my 9-inch circulars, and I'm gonna knit away on that. But yeah, I really like these socks. I'm not a sock knitter at all, but just look at this yarn. Isn't it beautiful? Blowing out, sliding. Now this is actually a quite accurate representation. This is yarn from the Danish hand dyer by Killerik. Spirende Forår, it's called Budding Spring. It's on her sock base, which is a 75-25, and it is just very, very easy to work with. There's no splitting. It's just a really easy yarn. Also, it does have just a little bit. It's not sleek. It's something that I feel like, okay, this is, I know where my stitches are. They're not gonna slide away from me. So I am enjoying this, and my idea is, of course, to finish these and finish my very green, perfect little cardigan, and then have this awesome set where I can wear my summer whites, jeans or pants or jean shorts in white, and then a white t-shirt, and then just throw the cardigan over my shoulders and have a little bit of green peeking out under the pants. I'm probably not gonna wear socks with shorts, but anyway, I think that's gonna look adorable. And a sock project is the only way to go really for this trip. Because again, I don't want to be carrying a lot, and I don't want to be working on something that takes my attention. I cannot take Misa out of her, she has like a travel bag, and I can't take her out as we're on the flight. But I hope I can just open the bag and just let her peek out and sit and coddle a little, because she's perfectly okay flying. She's perfectly okay doing anything as long as we're together. But still, I'm thinking it must be kind of weird. And then again, she's tried it so many times. But yeah, there you go. The other thing that I cast on is another version of my trellis sweater. I was wearing the trellis sweater couple of podcasts ago. It's a pattern of the 20 infamous patterns. It's gonna come out on June 1st. So I thought I'd go ahead and work up a second edition in another yarn. So there are some yarn alternatives, and also make it short sleeved. So what I did is, instead of placing the stitches on hold, I actually just bound them off. And a neater solution is to place the stitches on hold, then pick up stitches in the underarm stitches and bind everything off right away. But I was feeling lazy, plus this is a super fluffy yarn. No one's gonna see any of the details. So what I did is, when I was doing the separation for bodies and sleeves, when I came to the sleeve stitches, I bound them off, and then on the next round, I did a knitted cast on for the underarm stitches, and it looks absolutely fine. So the trellis pattern, I really like it. I love the 3D texture in this. I will say this is probably not a pattern that I would work in just like a superwash merino. I think it does need a little bit of fluff or a little bit of toothiness, because if you don't have something to hold the yarns together, then I would be concerned that you would pull out these threads that the pattern consists of. But in a fluffy yarn, I've been wearing my first trellis quite a lot, and I've had absolutely no problems. I'm sure in this yarn, there's gonna be absolutely no problems. I am gonna have a cute little summer top very, very soon. This yarn is something that I got. I was at a meeting at Garnspecialisten. Returning viewers will have heard me talk about them over and over again because I really like their concept. I have been using their yarns for around 10 years. I really like the concept. They buy yarns from the textile and fashion industry, primarily in Italy, and then they sell them to hand knitters. It all started when the owner, Susanna, she was working at a yarn store in England, and she saw this huge container of yarns that was just going to be destructed because they were leftovers, like kilos of leftovers. And she was like, nah. So she started rescuing yarns, and it has just grown and grown and grown. Now they have distributors in the Scandinavian countries. They are looking for a distributor in the US. So if you happen to know someone who is in the US and would like to give a hand to rescue the yarn, and I mean, it's a business. It's also a business and it's a job, but it's also something that I would love to do that because it just feels good to rescue yarn. This yarn is a yarn that I have worked with before. I am using it for a crochet blanket where I'm holding it together with a magic ball that I've made out of all of my leftovers. It's called Stanford mohair or brushed mohair. And I, of course, don't even have the fiber content present. I was just looking inside the cone, but the label was torn off. I'm gonna put the fiber content in the show notes below. They do ship internationally, but shipping to the US is very, very, very expensive. So, but if you're in the EU, they are happy to ship for you, and you get a lot of yarn for very little money, and you get to feel good about it too, which never knock the feeling good about yourself. This Stanford brushed mohair is very, very fluffy, and it's a lot heavier than the silk mohairs that we usually see. It does have some, I don't remember if it's polyamide or acrylics. So it has this really strong core, but then there's a lot of fluff going on it. So I would say this equals 2 strands of your regular silk mohair. And for the trellis, I'm working on needles size 10, 6mm, and I am using a single strand. So it really fluffs up. And I am absolutely sure that 1 cone is enough for the short sleeved version in size 2. I'm not sure if I was gonna knit the long sleeved if 1 cone was gonna be enough, or if I would need to break into a cone number 2. But then again, if you bought 2, you didn't break into the second, you'd have a lot of lovely yarn. Yeah, so I am really enjoying this. I like to knit the trellis pattern. I love all kinds of textured stitches. There's a lot of interest in knitting them, and I love a textured knit. I love the subtlety of it. Yeah. So, yay, this is what I'm going to be working on tonight. For sure, I would like to finish it tonight so that I can maybe possibly wear it on the flight. That would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, trellis sweater, the pattern is gonna come out on June 1st. It's gonna come out on Ravelry, and it's gonna come out in my own web shop. Yeah, and Garnspecialisten, if you are in the EU, pay their site a visit. I'm gonna link this one, and then from here you can click around their site. There is so much beautiful yarn just waiting for a loving new home. That was it for the knitting. Then we have some crochet to talk about, because I have finally picked up my Better World dress again. The Better World dress is a free pattern that I found on Ravelry. I am gonna link it in the description box. I do not remember the name of the designer right now, which is horrible. I apologize, I don't remember. She is clearly a genius. Just look at the dress that she designed, and look at how intricate and kind of difficult it looks. But you know what? I can do it, so anyone can do it. It is not difficult. For me, it is time consuming. Really, really, really time consuming, because not an experienced crocheter, but someone who doesn't get pain from crocheting anymore. Yay me. I feel so lucky. I will say, after I changed my hook, I started crocheting this with my Lantern Moon hooks, which are absolutely wonderful hooks. But they're black. The yarn is black. So I changed into, what are these? I think, yeah, these are clovers. Just some inexpensive clover hooks. And it is so much easier. Now I can see the hook going through the yarn. It really made the process a lot easier, changing the hook. Always look at the tools you're using. Always, 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 because the tools really means a lot. I did put a stitch marker. So, is it here? Down there is where I was. So the last week, I made this much progress. That's not bad. Just look how pretty it is. It is so pretty. I do not have a lot of rounds of this very intricate patterning left. Then it does seem from when I'm reading through the pattern that there's going to be a long section with some quite simple, like net-ish lace that looks easy and quick to work up. So I am gonna give this at least 30 minutes every day, because I want to finish it. I want to wear it. It is beautiful. I keep trying it on, which is so easy when it's crochet, and it just looks so cute. It's absolutely adorable. And I found a blue slip dress that I'm gonna wear under it. I think that's gonna look really nice. First, I was thinking just to wear one of my black slip dresses, but I actually think a blue would be really nice, so that you can a little better appreciate all of my hard work here. This is so much fun. I cannot recommend this pattern enough. And the generosity of the designer, that she provides the pattern for free, and then she asks us to, rather than pay her, then pay it forward. So what she asks is that you make a donation to your favorite charity and you brag about it. So let me brag about donating to our local animal shelter, which is a lovely place. They always need money. They do such a great job, so I donated to them, which was, I loved making this extra donation with the dress in mind. That was, I just loved the combination. So yeah, beautiful pattern, beautiful dress, such a beautiful thought behind it. The yarn that I'm using is the Anne from Circolo. I tried it first time last summer when I was knitting the Helix holder by Jessie Made Designs, and I just fell in love with this yarn. I really like it. It is so easy to work with. It is really tightly spun, which means that it never splits, which is special for a cotton yarn. It never splits. It is so easy to work with. I got it on Amazon. I actually got a little extra last time I was in the US because this is just one of those workhorse yarns that you always want to have in your collection because you can basically use it for anything. So, yeah. My other crochet project, the hexagon flower shirt that I was working on the cruise and that I showed you last week. It's currently on the naughty step. It needs to think about what it did. Maybe I need to think about what I did because clearly it was me. The way that you size this hexagon flower shirt up and down is by substituting some of the double crochets with treble crochets, which is, I mean, a genius way to do it. And I worked the first hexie and measured it, and it seemed to be spot on. I would get exactly the shirt that I wanted. Now that I made, 10 or something, I can see that my gauge is getting tighter. So probably the shirt is going to be tight on me, which I don't want it to. Also, I've been thinking about how to change it from a shirt into a polo shirt because that's what I want. I don't want a shirt. I'm not a good crocheter. I should not be modifying patterns. Not yet. Let me finish a couple of patterns first because the only thing I've crocheted before, that's like tote bags and shawls and blankets and pot holders. Simple stuff like that. So, my knitting friend Ina sent me this photo. And I was like, yes, please. That's what I'm gonna make. I do not remember the name of the model right now, but I am gonna add it in the description box below. It's available on Etsy, I think. So I'm gonna link the pattern. I was just reading through it quickly, and it does seem like this kind of very customizable pattern where you your beginning chain actually determines the size of the finished garment. And with how this looks with the slit in front, it's going to be so easy for me to just change that into a polo. The slit is there. I want to knit the bottom bands and I want to knit the collar, but it's going to be so much easier. And also, it seems to be a much heavier yarn. So I have pulled some Drop Spell, which is one of my go-to budget-friendly summer yarns. This is just, it's basically the same yarn as the Sandnes Line, if you know that. So it is this cotton, linen, and let us just see, viscose blend. So it's only plant-based fibers. It is a little bit splitty, but it's okay. I mean, plant-based fibers are not the most pleasant for my elbow to work with, but I'll be fine. I need that polo, so I'll be fine. I'll convince myself to be fine. So this is definitely on my to crochet list. I'm probably gonna cast it on very, very soon. It does look like something that you can whip up quite fast. I mean, a true crocheter could probably whip it up in a weekend, but yeah, definitely next on the list. And that was it for the creative content this week. Some finished objects, some knitting and some crochet, and then a little bit of dream crocheting. Yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a very active week for me. I have been in Denmark now for 8 days on my own. Peter has been in Italy and is now in Dubai for some work. And I decided to go ahead and change this place. From the place where we stop by every now and then to drop our suitcases, actually make it into a home. I have been quite the domestic goddess this week. I have been cleaning and sorting through stuff and donating, throwing out. Yeah. But now everything looks nice. Yeah. I had no idea that that task was going to be that big. I thought it's going to take me a couple of days. I'm just going to empty out the suitcases, bring the last things down from the apartment where we were living while we were redoing this house, and it's going to be fine. There's going to be some laundry and some vacuuming. Yeah, that was that. But there were other things too. But I'm so happy that I did it. What I did, because I found out, okay, this is a much bigger task than I expected. But then I decided to do 2-hour work sessions where I would work for 2 hours and then I'd go knit or cook or work on the computer, do something else for an hour, and then 2 more hours. And I would do that. And when you do that for 8 days in a row, you get stuff accomplished, which I feel very accomplished. Actually, I was done yesterday, or done-ish. Do you ever get done? But I was as done as I wanted to be. So yesterday, I just decided to go pick up my granddaughter from school. We hung out. She decided that she wanted to spend the night. We had such a good time this morning. I made pancakes for us, or crepes as it is. Yeah, we just had a good time. I've also spent time with my son and his boys, which we've had a beautiful week here in Denmark with lots of sun. So we have just been hanging out in the garden, playing, and yeah, it's been good. Now I feel like, I've been filled up. The tank has been gassed. So now I am more than ready to go to Italy and meet up with Peter again. I've missed him terribly. And we are going to have 6 weeks together. We are going to go back to Denmark just for a quick weekend trip, but we are basically going to have 6 weeks together for work and play and maybe some small getaways. We're going to do some hiking. Yeah, it's going to be good. I have packed a full suitcase, mostly with yarn. Still, I couldn't fit everything, but again, we are coming back for just a weekend. I can bring some more. So, yeah. Now I am so ready to get back into a steady rhythm, which we have in Italy. We don't really have our own rhythm anywhere else, but in Italy we have this very steady everyday life that I love so much. Everyday life is my favorite kind of life. So I am really excited for that. I hope you have some wonderful plans, some nice things to look forward to. I definitely hope that you have loads of yarns to play with. I'm gonna come back next week. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and happy knitting.